I have an addiction. You see, I like roguelike games. Something about stacking effects and breaking games is super addicting to me. My brain sees the ever increasing damage numbers and starts to go crazy. I love crafting different builds and completely breaking the game. So when I first saw Elden Ring Nightreign, I pretty much knew I was fucked. You are telling me I get to play a game that combines the two genres that I absolutely love? Sign me the fuck in! So, what is Elden Ring Nightreign, you might ask? Well,
In the age
Who gives a shit? It's an RPG, boys. Story doesn't matter. It's all about the action, baby. Now let's get down to business.
and now it is finally here, a Souls-like RPG with pure action. A game where all the bullshit is cut out and you go from location to location slaying bosses. Which is perfect because even after the entire Elden Ring, I was still hungry to slay more bosses. You can pick from 8 different characters with different skills. Yes, this game has unique character skills that you can use on a cooldown. Also, you can even use abilities from other Souls games like Bloodborne and Sekiro, which are extremely cool. And what is the goal, you might ask? Create a party of 3 and jump into the map to kill the creatures of the night. You have 2 days to level up, get items and prepare your characters for the final boss. During this time, each boss you kill will drop items and passive effects to upgrade your character. Not to mention souls, so you can level up. There are 8 main bosses you can slay and 5 different maps that keeps rotating around to switch things up. Your party's speed is the key in this game, because as the day progresses, a blue fire will start to cover up the map, which forces you to stay in a pre-selected area just like any battle royale game. This all sounds good and all, but is it actually good? Before I start bashing the game to the ground, the answer is yes, I have greatly enjoyed the game. In the past few days, I was so hooked into the game that whenever I wasn't playing it, I was imagining it in my head. I was also imagining the release of my new game, Beach Pass, on Steam. It is an extremely difficult platformer game where you need to reach the top to save a beach party. If you believe in your precision and gaming skills, I highly recommend you to check it out. We'll be releasing it later this month with a 10% discount, so wishlist it on Steam and don't miss this opportunity. Thanks in advance. Elden Ring Nightreign is fun, especially if you have 2 other friends to play with. If not, it might suck a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Figuring out good strategies, getting buffs that do not exist in Elden Ring, and beating a bunch of bosses was fun. But then it ended. Which is a problem because this is supposed to be a roguelike game. I was supposed to play it for hundreds of hours instead of 30, but there's not enough interesting paths to make that happen. Here's my issue with Nightreign. It is 80% Elden Ring and 20% roguelike. I would have much rather have them at 50% each, because if it is mostly Elden Ring, I can just play the regular game 8 times with different builds. Let me explain. The entire point of a roguelike game is theory crafting to break the game, stacking powerful buffs combined with weapons to dominate the difficulty completely. In Nightreign, however, the buffs and weapons are really underwhelming for the most part. The game doesn't let you break it. You can be strong, yes, but that is about it. It reminds you that you are still playing Elden Ring, and you can still die if you don't dodge. So here's a list of things that I would have liked to see in this game. And if they are ever added, I really would be fucked this time. This is the bread and butter of any roguelike game. I don't understand why the developers tried to make a balanced game rather than a fun one. Especially when you can do this in Elden Ring. Or this. Or this. Or this. Why are the buffs so weak? Like, why would I want a 10% increase to my stamina? Just give me more souls and remove the level cap instead. I would have loved to see buffs like after finishing a chain attack, spawn 4 clones of yourself that hits the boss. Each successful block or parry you do, you reflect damage back to your enemy. A buff to increase the duration and damage of your abilities. Or maybe add completely different effects on them. For example, I would have loved to get buffs for my Curse Sword as an executor, because it hits as much as a starting weapon does, so you generally don't use it. A buff to travel the map faster, or a reward to automatically collect all the Estus from the churches. Or better yet, give me a skill of the boss that I have just killed. There are literally so many things you can add and play around with here. Also, there are little to no effect combinations in this game. Like the best you can get is to combine successive attack buffs to get HP and FP back. Which is good but quite boring and not that strong as well. Just to give a simple example, let's say you collect 4 different stamina buffs. Maybe they could combine and give you increased speed to everything. like rolls, run, attacks, and so on. In most roguelike games, there are combinations that you can do to buff your weapons and stuff, which Nightreign lacks. Also, the game has an extremely random reward system. Like in a roguelike game, there are mechanics in place to help you create your build. Sure, you might get unlucky and not create it, but these mechanics help you get what you want more often than not. For example, rerolls that allow you to get a new selection of skills and weapons. Locking a skill where you are eventually guaranteed to get the next version of that skill. Choosing your reward so you exactly know which boss to kill to get what you want, and so on. For Elden Ring, they can add something really easy, like if you select successive attacks, you are more likely to get more successive attack buffs. And I also think the game should have rerolls, because I don't want to pick a mage weapon when I'm playing the Executor. I also think that buffs and weapon upgrades should be separated to give players more freedom to choose and play what they want. Obviously, this can't happen now because the buff side of things is extremely lacking. And lastly, for this part, I think it would be better to add more legendary rewards from bosses, especially those high tier ones. And for weapons, I don't get why Nightreign has the same weapon upgrade system as Elden Ring. It doesn't feel good to clear mines to get a smithing stone for your weapon upgrade. Especially when you can just get lucky and get a legendary or epic weapon from any other boss in the game. I think mines should be replaced completely. I would rather buy all the stones if I need to from the final shopkeeper, or maybe get two of the same item as a reward to combine them for the next tier. But the smithing stone business is definitely not it. Maps in Nightreign are strange to say the least. They feel like they were procedurally generated, but they are actually pre-made. Every map includes the same set of locations, which wouldn't be an issue if the layouts were randomized each time, but since the maps are fixed, I was hoping for a bit more variety between them. Some of the maps are superior to others. The best ones, as far as I can tell, is the Volcano one, where you are guaranteed a legendary weapon, and the Scarlet Rot one, where you gain an incredible buff for free. Maps do rotate randomly, but they rotate slowly. This makes it so that you pretty much memorize the best locations and go to them almost every game, which creates a little bit of stagnation. To make it less stagnant, there are random events that spawn, and as the name suggests, they are random, so you can't expect to get them every round. Unfortunately, in my entire playthrough of 34 hours, I think I only saw 5 or 6 random events, which is quite low, which brings me to the gameplay loop. I hate the early game of Nightreign. It is slow, you hit like a wet noodle and your stats are shit, especially your stamina. And God forbid if you are playing solo and pick a low HP character, you can just get one shot from full health. Nightreign is quite a slow-paced game compared to other roguelikes, which is not an issue in and of itself, but makes me question about the game mode itself. I think different game modes can be a great addition to Nightreign. Are you having a perfect god run? Why end it after the final boss? Have an infinite mode where the enemies scale constantly. You don't like running around? Well, here's a horde mode where the creatures come towards you in waves, and every 5 minutes a boss spawns. Do you want to test your skills and only kill bosses? Here's a gauntlet mode, where you get to fight bosses only, in a small area, back to back. Do you like horde defenses? Here's a crumbling castle for your team to upgrade, hire knights and defend the core. If these game modes were in the game, this video wouldn't have existed, since I would still be playing the game. And to finish the gameplay loop off, let's talk about relics. Relics are the rewards that you get from finishing a game in Nightreign. These relics are straight permanent buffs that you can equip on your character. But why are the descriptions non-existent? Increases your damage? Tell me how much. HP regen? Again, tell me how much. Like, I had a relic equipped that said damage increase if you have 3+ katanas. Then I realized it only increased the damage by like 10. This is also true for items. Like, what does Duchess's Grief do? Relics are extremely random, and aside from a select few, I honestly can't tell how good or bad they are, even after finishing the game. I guess I would want to see descriptions and more slots for chalices. To not overskill our characters, you can make them unlock after the 5th and the final boss kill, so at the end of the game we all can have 5 relic slots instead of 3. Also, it might be good to have a system where you can combine relics to get a higher tier one, rather than just selling them to the shop. There are also these personal stories called remembrances, which are there to give us some lore, and if you complete one you unlock a unique relic and a skin. but good luck doing them since it literally makes it impossible to find the game. Nightreign houses a ton of bosses that are pulled from other Souls games and Elden Ring. It was really cool to see all the old Dark Souls bosses that I have slain. If you play the game for a while, however, these will also become repetitive. I don't know if increasing the boss count would make a huge difference. Maybe mix and matching boss skills can be a good idea to solve this, but don't quote me on this. I'm not sure. Either way, I think you can't go wrong with more bosses. One thing I will say, however, is that the bosses move a lot. Like, annoyingly a lot. They dance around the map like they have infinite stamina, forcing you to constantly run. I'm okay with some bosses doing this, but most of them do this. As I said at the beginning of the video, I have enjoyed the game. And if you like killing bosses, you will enjoy it to some extent as well. But I wish it were better so I could play it more. Hope we get to see some huge updates to this game that would make it more chaotic and fun, as a game like this should be. What were your experiences playing Nightreign? Let me know. If you want to support me, you can wishlist Beach Pass on Steam. Thanks for watching this video and see you next time.